Hello and welcome to episode 143 of The Crate and Crowbar. It is the 31st of May, 2016. My name is Chris Thurston and today I'm joined by Philippa Waugh.
Hello.
And not one but two different Toms. Tom Francis.
Hello.
And Tom Senior.
Hi.
Today, an interesting further development in the ongoing afterlife of Lionhead Studios, which were shuttered by Microsoft not very long ago. In that there's now a Kickstarter for a Fable game?
Yeah, they announced today that there's a Kickstarter to bring to fruition a Fable Hearthstone-y card game digital thing based on the Fable-iverse. And yeah, apparently it had been in development for a year and a half before Microsoft shuttered Lionhead, but then they allowed people who had been working on the project to form a new studio and keep the license to use the IP. Like, so Microsoft still owns the Fable franchise rights, but they've licensed it out essentially. And now, there's people working on this CCG thing. Well, you know, Hearthstone-y.
But they need money to finish
game.
it, right? So
yeah, like apparently they've got a lot of the systems in place, but they need the money to sort of bring everything into place and to make it into the closed beta and then the, you know, all the other kerfuffle that you need to bring a game to people.
To bring a game to people with money. That's what they do.
Indeed.
This seems to lend some credence to something that was in at least one of the profiles of Lionhead that I read after they closed, which was that Microsoft had commanded them to basically become a games as service studio. And that Fable, like the reason they were making Fable Legends, which was their like asymmetric multiplayer Dungeoneers versus Dungeon Master thing, was in order to create technology and that would ultimately allow them to make a Fable 4. But this seems much more like, and also, Fablestone.
Yeah, but
I should have called it Bowerstone.
The thing is, like, so it's supposed to be that it takes characters and creatures and locations and stuff from the game franchise. But when I was reading about it this morning and then writing about it, I found that I couldn't remember anyone's name. Like, I couldn't remember the name of the castle. I couldn't remember any of the characters. I think the new studio is called, like, Flaming Fowl or, like, Flexing Fowl. It's a fowl pun thing, or not pun, but reference. And so, yeah, there's a lot of sort of things that you'd recognize if you play Hearthstone. You know, you put you play your cards and you get minions on a board and they interact and you're trying to bring down your enemy character's health. But it has that Fable sort of central thing being about, are you good or are you evil kind of thing. And so you have like a quest, I think, or you can complete quests through playing a match. And so, you know, you're doing things like trying to use a certain amount of spells or whatever else. And then once you've completed whatever the thing is that you're doing, you choose between a good or an evil pathway, I think. And that upgrades some of your cards to be, you know, to be different. You know, they morph into the evil or the good version, and that gives you different possibilities and stuff. So that stuff sounds kind of interesting, but like also kind of like an abstract mechanic that's just, it could be anything, you know, like good or evil, or I don't know, whatever other opposites I don't particularly want to annoy Tom with. And then, but yeah, and the other thing that they said was that they want to make it less about RNG than, you know,
it's
stuff
kind of
like
hard to achieve with a card game.
But like, you know, so they've sort of got all of these other systems in place where you're sort of using skill to play against opponents or whatever and trying to like work stuff out and what they might be doing, you know, with these choices and whatever else. But I don't know, I think that RNG is kind of an intrinsic mechanic for people keeping engaged with a free-to-play game. And so I think that you kind of remove it at your peril in some ways. And also, like, when something isn't as immediately accessible, then you might find that quite a lot of people bounce off. Plus, I genuinely wouldn't have thought that the Fable universe was sort of beloved enough to sustain that kind of
It's
thing.
also whether or not it's generated enough big characters that people remember. Warcraft
Well,
really has.
yeah, that's more what I mean. Like, 'cause obviously I have a lot of goodwill towards some of the games, but like
Well, they're never about characters and heroes. They're about being very malleable worlds that you affected, and so that's why there weren't any kind of standout characters in the Fable games. That was what was great about them.
It's always about you, really, wasn't it?
Absolutely, which was really exciting. And this kind of smacks of just a publisher jumping on a trend and then looking around for what properties will slot into it. And it seems like a very uneasy fit.
Yeah. I feel the same way about Elder Scrolls Legends, I think it's called, which is the Bethesda's Magic the Gathering alike made out of Elder Scrolls stuff. And that's a perfect example, because you're not going to find very many games that have been as successful over as long a period of time as Skyrim has, right? That game has never stopped selling and is hugely successful, and people really care about it, but no one gives
characters.
2 fucks about anyone in it.
no.
Like, I played 200 hours of that game. Legitimately don't think I can remember the name of a single character in the thing.
I can remember names of characters from Morrowind.
Yeah.
And a couple from Oblivion, but none from Skyrim.
I'm really trying hard, and all I can come up with is Patrick Stewart and like Johnny Dragon Monk or whatever his name was. Like, I don't.
There's Sean Bean as Martin. He plays
Martin,
In
that's
Oblivion,
the
yes.
one.
Yeah,
in Oblivion, yeah, this is Oblivion,
Yeah.
so. And then there's Emperor something.
Picard.
Emperor Picard.
Yeah.
Isn't he
Emperor
just the Emperor?
Emperor Picard Xavier.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I remember, like, character-wise, I remember there was a dragon in Skyrim, like a dragon you could talk to.
Yeah,
And he had a name, which might have been Alduin.
It
Or was he the bad one?
No, that was the bad dragon. Then
Parthenax is
Parthenax was
the
the good dragon. Yeah. Oh
So
shit.
I remember dragon names, but I don't remember human names.
So I've got like 4 cards now.
Jarl Wulfric. Jarl Wulfric was a guy.
Wouldn't it be hilarious
What
to do,
was
like-
the name of my companion? Oh, you wouldn't
It would be
know.
great to do, like, a parody deck where it's just, like, Patrick Stewart, Sean Bean, those 2 dragons from Skyrim. Good dragon and bad dragon. That's it. That's
Max,
the whole deck.
Max von Sydow.
Yeah.
Max from the trailer.
He's in the game.
Yeah.
He's the old
One
man
of
you
the
meet in a
monks.
prison.
Yeah.
You get him out of the underground, and then you put him in the big temple, and then he's like, dragons.
Maybe you could just have a card for the innumerable, like, alien ruins, you know?
Yeah.
that
Oh,
you forever.
the choir that did the soundtrack, they can get a card.
Yeah, exactly.
Good.
My horse.
A cabbage.
Yeah.
A cabbage.
Yeah.
Guards.
There used to always be a character called Maik the Liar in all of the Elder Scrolls games, and on Morrowind he was just like wearing a yellow hat standing on an island in the middle of nowhere, and if you walked up to him he'd just like, all the topics you could ask him about, because in Morrowind it's just like hyperlink topics, were things that Bethesda was sick of people asking them about, like spears and mounts, and and he would give some like garbled reason as to why they didn't exist in this world. I don't know. I don't think he's in Skyrim. I can't remember if there was a version of him in Oblivion or some reference to him or something.
Did the High Wizard have a name?
The High Wizard.
You know, the one in the tower.
Wizard Lord 420.
The one that I
which
think
game?
I took over from in Oblivion.
So there's a Mage's Guild, and there was a leader of that.
Yeah, like I
the
think I stole
Archmage
his
or Archmage.
title, but
Underbarrel.
You can
Mr.
become
H
him.
Wizard.
yeah, like
Oh, there's Lydia
Yeah.
in Skyrim.
Yeah,
That's a
Oh,
character.
yeah.
that's the one. That's who I meant.
Yeah,
Oh,
Lydia.
yeah, that's what you're talking
Yeah, and the codices, many of them. But yeah, like so.
But what I'm saying
in
is
a
that,
similar
yeah,
way.
5th card for the set.
What I'm saying is there's no moment where I'm like, oh man, I'm going to pay Alduin to counter your
Parthenax.
yeah.
There we go.
Party
The
snacks.
ongoing,
Party snacks.
the ongoing struggle between.
Party snacks versus Old Ween.
So yeah, like I mean, you know, obviously good luck to them and everything, but I just like I looked at the project and was kind of a bit nonplussed as to the appeal, I guess.
I guess the world doesn't even, like, Magic the Gathering is just a load of made up old nonsense. What? I'm going to get some hate mail from that, I'm sure. So you don't necessarily need an established kind of lore for your card games.
No, you don't. But like Magic the Gathering, it has to has the thing of being first, at least, or being the preeminent thing within that genre, whereas everyone else is, the reason to play, presumably at this point, given you have Magic, and then you have Hearthstone, which is like a simple version of Magic, which maybe the world did need.
Yeah.
They are going to do co-op, though.
In Fable, Fable cards.
Which I don't necessarily understand. Maybe I haven't.
I think they did that in a Hearthstone challenge at one point.
They
did,
did,
where
yeah.
you both fought an AI thing.
But yeah, so...
Oh yeah, I mean, there's more power to them, I suppose, but,
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, I was
settles it.
just a bit nonplussed reading about it. I was like, oh, okay.
I guess it's interesting that Microsoft are willing to allow this, because it was just so weird that they sort of shut that studio right. I mean, presumably the development of Fable, whatever, was troubled, but put so much work into it, then shut the studio and just the game's just dead, and it's not.
Maybe they're going to do a Games Workshop with the franchise and just be like, everyone can develop a Fable game. You and you and you.
Speaking of fantasy nonsense.
Oh,
Well, we were speaking about fantasy nonsense.
okay.
Not that their concept is fantasy nonsense. But Warhammer, that's fantasy nonsense. Magic the Gathering, that's fantasy nonsense.
Oh, segue.
Warcraft,
Good, well done.
Yes, that's what we're doing, Pip. All aboard. As we journey to Warcraft, the beginning, the movie. So, you went to see Warcraft, the film, the movie. We can talk about the movie briefly, because it is very explicitly based on the game. You've seen it twice, because you went with me yesterday. First day of general release in the UK.
Yeah.
So, I had read the negative reviews, and seen some of the positive in them, and you'd read yours as well, and you had mixed feelings about it. But I really like Duncan Jones as a filmmaker. Moon is great. He's made some really good things. And was a huge fan of Warcraft when I was a teenager. And the thing about this as a movie is it has such lofty ambitions for what it wants to achieve in the long term. It not only wants to be this, ambitious fantasy movie in its own right, but also wants to be the cornerstone of a new cinematic universe. And it spends so much time setting stuff up and totally hamstrings itself doing that. But where it has ended up is in the exact tier of movie that Dominic Cooper is in. Because he's also in this. But, so before we watched it, there was a trailer for Gods of Egypt, which is a really naff looking, schlocky Clash of the Titans
thing you will watch on an airplane.
Yeah, exactly. Action adventure films I will watch on the plane to BlizzCon, probably. And
this is the one where all the actors are white.
yeah, it's one of many. It's not Ridley Scott's one where all the actors were white. This is a new one, but where they're also maybe cyborgs.
Ah.
I thought it was like a Stargate thing originally.
It looked a bit like Stargate. Yeah, it's got Nikolai Coster-Waldau in the grand tradition of Game of Thrones actors going on to make mega naff 6 out of 10 action films. Actually, the release date of Warcraft in the US is 6/10 because it's the 10th of June. And when I first saw that, I thought it was out 6/10. I was like, well, they're weird of them to put the review score on the on the poster, but no, it's true. And it's strange because it's got such an enormous effort behind it, and I think maybe because it's Blizzard and because it's such an unusual thing, I expected it to be different. But they've literally made that film that you watch on Netflix when you're drunk, and it's a real weird shame.
I think mine was one of the more moderate reviews because I was like, it's not terrible, it just didn't make me feel anything. And so it was just like watching sort of a cinematic reconstruction of a wiki. And, telling the story, but just telling it straight, sort of not really doing anything interesting with it. And, we were talking about this before, and the orcs actually are sort of the more engaging human kind of characters. And they actually get, I thought they got Gul'dan spot on. He was amazing. And then you've sort of got the sort of interchangeable, Aragorn style dudes of Azeroth, sort of plodding around in plate mail, and, then there's Paula Patton kind of straddling the two worlds by speaking both languages and not really ever explaining
how she does
sort
that.
of why she's, seems to be half orc, half human, but is sort of also mostly human and just has fangs, but then
Also, she's not
isn't
human at
human
all.
and that's never addressed, and like the whole thing is just like what?
It's such a messy thing. Like it's so this is in a way what I'm about to say is actually sort of a very guarded compliment to cosplayers and people who make fan movies, because they have put all of the money and all of the effort and talent in the world to putting real humans in costumes telling the story of Warcraft. And it has that exact embarrassing quality of a fan movie. You watch something that's slightly too earnest and the costumes don't quite look right and the actors don't quite look right for the parts, down to things like hair and how people are made up and stuff, and it just looks sort of schlocky, but people are trying really hard because they love something. It's that, but it costs hundreds of millions of dollars. And in a way, what that demonstrates is maybe some source material just doesn't adapt. Like, it doesn't matter how much you love it or how much money you spend. It's actually dumb.
The thing is, I actually weirdly liked how sort of serious it was, and sort of how I think, because I was saying to you before, but it was very much a case of I'm kind of sick of a lot of the tricks that Hollywood pulls to keep me engaged with something, and this didn't do any of them. Like, you didn't
To its
have
credit, it did nothing to engage me.
like, and sort of some of the things they would have probably made more of a thing about, I don't know, a character's betrayal, or a particular sort of dialogue exchange would have been done a very certain way, and you sort of get used to Hollywood tropes in that way. And this just sort of didn't do it, because it was so sort of determinedly straightforward and straight down the line in all of those different ways, and you were just like, yeah, all right, this is sort of no nonsense, but in a very particular kind of...
Because there are like betrayals and there are twists and turns, and it does make some relatively brave decisions with characters, but it moves so quickly because it has so much material to cover in establishing this massive universe that no one is going to give a fuck about, because they will never make another one of these films. Like, none of it has a chance to bed in.
But also, the thing that I mean specifically is, those moments in films where you think, if this wasn't a film, that person would have just told that person the thing. Or, wouldn't have had a weird, awkward, poignant moment where they just missed each other, or, some kind of thing. And sort of, it was sort of weirdly refreshing to me to watch a film where that stuff just didn't happen,
I mean, there's a really, really contrived thing at the start where a character's like, I could tell you what this is, but I can't. Instead, we must go up a lot of stairs.
Yeah, but that was more just dumb than
It's like, I must get you to the next part of the exposition
But it wasn't like, I will not tell you the thing, and then he gets killed or something, and then they never find out the thing until a lot later, or, it didn't do that ridiculous, convoluted, plot device-y thing.
I think it's because with so many characters, there's only time for every character to have about 3 scenes in the entire film.
Yeah, it was very much like a tick box of, right, we hit that beat, we're going over here, we're doing this, we're off to
Yeah, it's I've never seen a film that is bad in the specific way that it's bad, even though a lot of its failures are things that are common to plenty of films. Like the writing, the acting for the humans is terrible, and that's such a weird thing to say. Like, you meet the orcs first, and obviously they're silly and they're big and they're orcs and they have orc feelings about orc stuff, but they're kind of engaging. Like, Duratan has very sad eyes. You know what I mean? Like, he looks genuinely hard done by. I put it in this way in the review of PC Gamer, but he is the Ned Stark of orcs. He has that kind of he's the man you're rooting for in a shit situation, and it's like genuine. I watched that film, but then the scenery chewing, weird, whiffly nonsense that happens with every other character is.
Have you seen the film posters? Any of you guys?
Only because you've been tweeting them about today. Taking a look at them.
My favourite is the Dominic Cooper one, though, because he just is, it's his character's armour but clearly not on the same body as his head is from. And his head is just, like, slapped on there, but a good maybe 4 inches lower than where it would normally be if his bones were all intact. And he still had, like, you know, a neck.
It looks like a weird Warhammer kit bash, where someone has like, glued the different model's head on him.
Saw Dominic Cooper's head off and glued it onto a different model.
It's so bad. And then there's one of Medivh who just looks like he's wondering if he left the gas on.
God, there's like, there's a level of scaling disinterest in that film that permeates the entire cast. Like, there's the guy who played, Ben Foster, who plays Medivh, who's like the kind of enigmatic wizard guardian of Azeroth. He doesn't want to fucking be there. Like, part of his character's plot is that he doesn't really want to fucking be there. But he's sort of supposed to be somewhere between, like, an enigmatic kind of Obi-Wan Kenobi figure and also maybe Gandalf and also...
He's more, what's his chops? The other one. Christopher Lee.
Saruman.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a Saruman-y quality to it. But he looks like... There's no weight or gravity to anything he says. So his attempt to sound sort of like mysterious and aloof and enigmatic just makes him sound like a bit of a dick. And everyone is about 35 in Azeroth. So there's no kind of sense of like hierarchy between people at all. So it just sort of feels very like kind of floaty and weird, like you've cast it out of your mates rather than a kind of group of people that are part of a coherent society.
Weren't Blizzard like sort of turning down loads of deals to do this for ages because they wanted to get it exactly right?
Yeah, and I think so, yeah.
Is this them? Do they think they got it exactly right?
I guess
or
so.
Did they lose control
I don't
of
think
it,
they would ever
or-
say that they didn't, but...
I think that they probably got it exactly how it is in someone's head, but whether that translates to something other people are...
I think
when you present it to people in games, when it's sort of cutscenes interspersed with other things, and it's sort of, there's a lot of space around the dialogue and stuff, you can fill in a lot of blanks yourself, and you develop relationships with the characters over a very, very long period of time. And, you know, people get into the cosplay side of things, and the, you know, the sort of the way that Warcraft has been unfolding, World of Warcraft, this is for like a decade and stuff. And this sort of like chops out all of those interstitial bits and just gives you the beats of the stuff, so you're sort of getting this weird, like, almost like when an omnibus does the previously on, kind of, you know, without any of the bits where characters actually sort of have a chance to breathe and unfold.
it's like, it's funny because, you know, Warcraft means a lot to people, and, you know, there's plenty of things about it that are idiosyncratic or weird that Blizzard have put their own stamp on. But the movie presents it to you so cursorily because it just wants to show you loads of stuff that it's painstakingly recreated. I think if you were coming to it not as a fan, it's kind of a disaster because at the surface level and at many lower levels as well, it's the most generic thing imaginable. Like, so the first scene in Azeroth, and no spoilers, is in Ironforge, and it's only there to give you 8 seconds in Ironforge before the movie never goes back to there ever again and never really shows any of those characters ever again. But they've done the most remarkable exterior shot where it's like, my God, those are the exact landscape. Well, that's the exact landscape of the Dwarven starting area and WoW, but rendered it like photorealistic CGI. And then there's a shot of the inside. It's green screen, but it's like, oh wow, that looks like that town I went to in World of Warcraft. And there's a dwarf there. And it's just exposition when a character gets the letter and has to go somewhere else. And it's like a huge effort to just furnish you with this image that if you're a fan of World of Warcraft, you'll go, oh wow, I recognize that. But if you're not a fan of World of Warcraft, you'll go, oh, it's those guys from Lord of the Rings. Like I recognize that. And then it's generic medieval fantasy and the wizards and stuff, and everything feels like, you know, just feels like this big scattergun full of the most generic fantasy. And the orcs work because they're a little bit unusual, at least, whereas all the human stuff is just...
I think it's that thing of, you know, that sort of old wisdom of, if it's your dream project, you're probably too close to it.
Yeah.
And you're the last person on Earth that actually should be directing that, I guess. Or not directing it, because I think this is more to do with the actual sort of writing and sort of the Blizzard side of things. But
well, yeah,
because of, you know, like, having seen Duncan Jones's films previously, like, this didn't feel like...
It's incredibly unlike anything he's ever made.
I wouldn't have recognised it from the style, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, it didn't occur to me to mention him in my review because he's just not present in the movie in any discernible way. Like, But yeah, it's a fascinating maybe thing that maybe applies to Blizzard's broader stuff recently, like the Overwatch shorts, which are also bad, is I think maybe they sort of love those characters so intensely and those stories so intensely that they're blind to the fact that a lot of them don't necessarily mean very much to an outside audience. And in this case, that maybe they need a more engaged introduction than literally we're gonna just blow all of the lore of the first war between orcs and humans on this screen, and you're gonna like it because it's fascinating. Why wouldn't it be fascinating?
I mean, I've played several of the games, and I've written about it for work, countless times, and I was confused by a whole bunch of things. I was like, wait, what? Who's what?
Yeah, it's
Anyway.
and yeah, the brief visit to Dalaran, City of Wizards. You didn't stop laughing for about 5 minutes.
I'm really sorry. I was properly having to stuff my fist in my mouth because it was just, I still find that hilarious.
It goes full Discworld, but in a movie that's very, very silly. So it's like, we are the Wizard Council, and it's just a league of British character actors with CGI glowing eyes in purple bathrobes in a massive green screen floating city for about 10 seconds. And would you like to see our hypercube? And then it's gone.
I want to see that film. That sounds amazing.
Yes. It still makes me laugh. It's a really weird one. It's I've seen plenty of bad video game movies, and I think this is the first one that's been so faithful it actually strangled it. I said this in a review, but this is actually genuinely amazing. There's a really awkward bit where the humans are riding out from Stormwind for the final battle. And King Dominic Cooper, I always want to bellow, Dominic Cooper! But that's what Marsh would do. Due to weird drunken night watching Dominic Cooper Dracula movies.
That was great. Charles Dance was in that properly chewing the scene.
There isn't a phoning it in eminent British theatre actor in this, which is the thing it's missing. Maybe the ingredient that it doesn't have that every other shit fantasy movie has is, as you say, Patrick Stewart phoning it the fuck in or something. But they're going to ride out of Stormwind. He says goodbye to his kids. And of course, that's a fucking teaser for a future movie that will never get made. And goodbye, Varian. Varian from the latest cinematic for the new WoW expansion. It's that guy. That kind of thing. Then he rides out and then he has to take an abrupt left turn in order to go around the little wall that's in front of the gate in Stormwind. Because if you go to Stormwind in WoW, that little wall is there, and there's something similar in Orgrimmar, and there's something similar in Orgrimmar as well. All of the cities have these weird T-shaped entryways where you have to go around a thing. And it's because of level of distance. It's because in the games, because Warcraft doesn't have level transitions, there's a seamless transition between Elwyn Forest and Stormwind, or from Durotar and Orgrimmar. And so that the engine doesn't have to render the interior of the city and the outside at once, it forces you to walk around a really, really abrupt corner so that you can't see from inside to out and outside to in. And it's just there because the 2004 era game engine works that way, and there's a necessity of getting the game to work as well as it does. But it's in the movie. Because it's in the game, and that's the absurd degree of faithfulness that this scene is actually undercut by the fact they can't do a shot of the army marching out of Stormwind because they have to go around the level of distance wall in order to march out over the bridge. It's it's someone sat down and thought about that and gone, no, we're doing it right. We're doing it this way. And it's bless them.
I'm so sorry.
Poor Dominic Cooper. He's alright, he's in Preacher now. He's having a mixed week. Everyone seems to like that. Anyway, the other thing that came out today, actually, loads of things came out today. So in addition to that, in fantasy nonsense news, also, The Witcher 3 Blood and Wine.
The Blood and Wine expansion, which is supposed to be the final expansion for The Witcher 3, is out, and we've talked about it on the pod before, but it's brilliant. And everyone who owns The Witcher should play it, I think, because it's some of their best stuff.
Excellent.
Kind of good sense of humour, very good sense of humour about Geralt and what he's like, and just putting that character into a land of fairy tale duchesses and morally ambiguous vampires is tremendous fun, and I recommend it to everyone.
Could you make a film out of The Witcher 3?
You could make quite a good film. I think there either have been or is about to be some quite dodgy Witcher films that were made in Poland that I've seen trailers for that look absolutely dreadful. They just put a man in a white wig and that's Geralt, and it's not good. Not
Still
good.
better than Warcraft.
Yeah.
Do you think any of these will be better or worse than Fassbender in Assassin's Creed? Fassassin.
Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Bender.
That's not mine, by the way. That's just someone tweeted it at me. But
He's in everything now.
wasn't there a trailer for that? Before?
There was, yeah.
Yeah. It
Looks
was like,
piss.
you like movies about video games.
It's
You'll
fair.
love this.
That's fair. That's fair trailer placement. To be honest.
No, but I was just like, oh.
I feel like
then,
a Witcher movie would make a lot more sense than any of these things, because, I mean, certainly a lot more sense than World of Warcraft, because Warcraft is just a big mess of lore. Whereas The Witcher is about one guy, and it's really just about him and his story, and it's like...
The thing about Geralt, though, is that he's an completely unchanging avatar, which makes him very good for a video game. But he doesn't go... He goes on physical journeys around, but he's exactly the same person at the end of the story than he is at the start.
He wouldn't be a great movie character.
No.
I suppose. I mean, there's precedent for that in like a western.
True.
Which makes for a decent western, because it is just like lone gunslinger comes into town, deals with the thing. The gunslinger doesn't change. He's just
Doesn't
there.
say anything.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
You've got to make sure everything around it is really good, though. Like, it can be done, but also a lot of action movies try to do that, right? They have the grizzled, blank protagonist who doesn't do much, and they're sort of hoping that we'll think he's so cool that we find it engaging all the way through. And for me, that generally doesn't work.
I think it works well in The Witcher 3 because it's got some brilliant quests full of really awesome characters who are really interesting and flawed. And they kind of do all the character growth and character change around you. And it seems done when your character has a revelation that you're not a part of in a video game. So I much prefer The Witcher 3's kind of way of doing things.
Actually, it might be better as a TV series, because it seems like it's not really about... The great thing about it isn't one big overall quest, and it's usually not the main quest. It's a bunch of side quests that are each individually really cool.
So maybe something like a procedural.
True Detective season 3
Yeah.
is Geralt and Dandelion.
Well, I guess it's more like Once Upon a Time or something. No, that's more like a soap opera. But isn't it Grimm?
Grimm,
the one
yeah.
that's the murder mystery based on fairy tales.
I wish they'd do more of these expansions. Like the main story, if you just do it, stick to the quest path slavishly, is about 10 or 11 hours. But it's really satisfying to have a good self-contained Witcher story. And I said in the review I wish they'd just make one of those every year, because I would definitely pay like 30 quid for that.
Can you play it as like a new character?
I'm not sure you can. I think you have to be quite high level, which is a shame, because the review build they sent out gave you a kind of like an empty Geralt with all.
Why did they make me this way?
Just a big kind of spare bucket of skill points to put into him, so to fulfill him and turn him into full Geralt.
Yeah, I saw, like on a previous expansion anyway, you had the option of doing that, or you could actually pick a sort of pre-leveled Geralt who just have a bunch of skills they chose for you. They're just like
that'd be
standard
good.
Geralt.
I need to check it, because if you can, then that'd be much better.
There's a default Geralt joke there, but I can't quite do it.
Deferalt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame, because like 10 to 12 hours sounds about the amount of time I typically sink into a Witcher game before I lose interest in it.
Yeah.
Not because I don't, partly because I don't like it. Not because I don't sort of find it to be a good quality version of what it is, but just because of what it is the least appealing kind of RPG for me, because I want to either have a blank slate character or make my own character. And when you force a character on me, it has to be exactly who I want to be, or it takes something away from every scene. I'd almost rather it was a TV series, so I could watch it.
Listening to people talk about it, I've come away with the impression that it's kind of front-loaded as well. So like after that initial 10 or 12 hours, maybe it becomes a bit less hooky or a bit less...
The main game?
Yeah, I think so. But like I say, that's only just from listening to other people talk.
I think I defeated like the Griffin thing, the first boss, and I got quite annoyed with that fight. And then I think I just looked up how to do it, and there's a kind of exploity way to do it, and I did that, and that's when I stopped playing, and it wasn't really like a big moment of like, oh, fuck it, I'm done with this. After I closed the game that time, I didn't think to go back to it ever again.
It's got a brilliant first 10 hours, then a quite good second 10 hours, then a brilliant final 10 hours, basically, in the main game. But the expansion just gives you loads of good stuff, so it's just 10 hours of great Witcher entertainment.
Top Geralt.
Top Geralt. Good job, CD Projekt.
They're great. I don't think there's been enough people in our comments threads popping in on any story about anything to tell us how good they are.
Yeah, they've got a very engaged fan base.
Yeah, so does the Warcraft community I'm now on.
Yeah, you're falling victim to them.
Yeah, they're not happy at all, but never mind.
It happens.
Not my fault.
No, it's not.
Also out today is Hitman Episode 3 Marrakesh, I think,
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
which you have played, Tom.
I have. There was also, since the last podcast, the new elusive target.
Oh, yeah,
with
can you talk about that as well?
Yeah, because I guess, did you guys do that?
I've still not done one. I've not done the first or second one.
I aced this one in the most boring possible way.
Chris and I
What-
decided to do it as like a sort of, proper old school, like sofa co-op gaming
Oh,
with
yeah.
like me sort of like helping doing the like, oh, go over here or try that or what's he up to kind of thing. Except Chris did it in like 2 minutes. I was bored.
I noticed something straight. Yeah, well, you tell your story, Tom, and I'll explain why I think I broke it.
I found this one, I kind of had high hopes for it because I enjoyed the first elusive target in Paris. And at first I didn't really like Paris itself. I found Paris really restrictive. And then the elusive target I was kind of ready for a higher level of challenge. And I would say the elusive target was about as the same difficulty as the main targets. He's someone who goes everywhere with a bodyguard, but goes to lots of different places. And so the challenge is like, how do you get rid of the bodyguard if you want to do it really cleanly? I did it after much kind of waiting and planning, and it was tense and fun and cool. And Sapienza in general I like a lot better and is a lot more open and less restrictive. But with the elusive target, they've also raised security everywhere. And he goes everywhere with seemingly 2 bodyguards and the butler. Not the butler, sorry, just a
waiter.
housekeeper. Yeah. Who,
Hey!
it's this weird thing where like,
Sorry.
I haven't really noticed this so much in the mission so far, but obviously everyone's on a loop in Hitman, and usually it's like, I don't know, Silvio Caruso plays golf for a while, and then he goes to his observatory for a while, and then he just has some activities it cycles between, because I guess it's his spare time, and that's what he likes doing. But this guy's waiting for Silvio, and the housekeeper is trying to give him different things to occupy his time, like, would you like to look at the collection of books? Would you like to look at the wines? Would you like to look at this view? And that being on a loop is really weird because he just says those things again from the start, and then the guy has to pretend to be interested in books again, and then like pretend to read each individual title with surprise. So it's a strangely designed loop. And this one, it is really high security. It's as far as I can tell, he never I watched him loop all the way back to the start. So without intervention, at least, he never goes away from his 3 accompaniments everywhere. And also almost every location they go to is watched by like 2 or 3 other people too. And I could have done it actually quite, I think I could have got Silent Assassin maybe. I don't really know how it works at all anymore because the way I did it involved, I just dropped a chandelier on him and, that killed him in front of everybody.
Yeah.
And I had been trying to do it so that, I had this really elaborate plan for like, okay, when he goes into this certain room, he actually leaves the housekeeper behind for a second. Like housekeeper's in sight of him, but he can't see the housekeeper. And he goes outside and there's only 2 bodyguards in front of only 2 other people. So I've only got to take out 5 people to take him out there. So I figured I could do it. But like, as soon as he goes out the door, I could take out the housekeeper and like shove him in this laundry basket before the guy gets back. And the next time he comes round, I could, take out one of his bodyguards. I actually thought I could do all 3. I thought I could, like grab a bodyguard or have a wrench, I think, and smack a bodyguard, then throw the wrench at the other bodyguards so they both get taken out non-lethally, then shoot the target. And then, after like waiting for ages for the to get the housekeeper on his own, I realized the door behind me is glass and there's a bodyguard standing right behind it. And there's another bodyguard that goes past the window on random intervals. And that guy does eventually walk away, but the cycles weren't lined up so that he would be walking away during my own window of opportunity. And it takes about literally 14 minutes for him to come back to this location again. So every chance was going to take 14 minutes of waiting. And I realized I just don't have the patience for this. Like for a while, my tension will carry me through a lot of boring waiting because it's, the one chance and there's no saving or loading. And it's, I like the kind of rare opportunity sense of it, but I think it took me like 40 minutes in total. And, after I'd waited through that window of opportunity and realized it wasn't going to happen this time, I was like, okay, I'm just going to find a different way. And then I saw the chandelier and just dropped it on him. And then I got no bodies found. And the only reason I didn't get Silent Assassin was that at one point when I was trying to get rid of a guard, who it turned out I didn't need to get rid of, I threw my explosive thing out into the corridor. I hid in a different room and threw it out. He didn't see me, but he saw the explosive. And as soon as he saw the explosive, he says, "Oh, there was a guy around here, a bald guy." And I was wearing a hat at the time. So that counted as me being spotted. And so I didn't get Silent Assassin. But other than that, apparently it was perfect, even though I just killed him in front of everybody. I think my only way I can explain it is that if it's an accident, I think it doesn't count as a body being found, even though it says on screen "body found." It's not a real body.
I also got no bodies found in a scenario where definitely people saw him die, and it definitely wasn't an accident.
Ah.
So I think it's another piece of logic. So basically, during the intro cutscene where it's like, this is the congressman, you're going to hunt him down, there's a shot of him like walking out of the mansion. So I thought, if that must be part of his route. So I chose to start in the ICA safe house, which has a patio on like a sort of raised rooftop sort of overlooking the front yard of the mansion, with a silent sniper rifle in the trunk in the ICA safe house, so I didn't have to go outside. Got the sniper rifle from the trunk, crouched down the wall on the patio, waited for him to come outside, shot him in the head, got off the roof, went down to the boat and left. Done. Silent Assassin.
Yeah.
I think we're missing the part.
The part where I missed the first shot, I had to wait for him to go to the garden and come back. So yeah, I missed the first shot because it was a silenced rifle. No one gave it. Wow. Literally, the bullet went like between him and the bodyguard standing next to him, and then I waited for another 2 minutes. Then he came back around the corner the other way, and then I shot him.
So that's actually, even though I ended up with quite a good rating, that's kind of what I decided I would do for the future elusive targets, because I didn't do this, take a sniper rifle, because I thought, well, wherever I shoot him, there's no chance he's going to be alone, so people are going to find the body, and that will, screw my rating, or even if it doesn't, I kind of don't want people to find bodies. And now, after playing through it the sort of long, slow way, and still not being able to, really find a good way to do it without anyone finding the body, I think maybe just forget about bodies and just go for the fun ways and just...
I sort of see it as like he has to die one way or another, and this was just like the most efficient way to do it. Like I had a bit of a panic when I realized that like I hadn't brought the lock, because there's one of the escalation challenges that requires you to snipe people, and that's the best place to do it from, which is why I kind of knew it quite well.
Yeah.
And there's a route down to the boat from there that's quite easy. But you need a lockpick to do it the very safe way, and I'd forgotten to pack a lockpick. So I had a brief moment of panic where I had to double back on myself, and by that point the guards had already run to investigate the building the shot had come from. But I was never spotted or identified by anybody, so I could just walk away when I got to the street level. So there was a moment of tension, but it was like, I remember because Pip was sat there like, instead of, the hope was we would kind of come together, come up with a plan.
I got an idea, shoot him.
But as soon as I saw that was possible, it was like, oh, there is a best way to do this. Like,
yeah, I wasn't even involved. It wasn't even a question of, shall we do it this way? It was just like, well, here's where I stand and shoot him. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll just check my texts, I guess.
But, when you only get literally one chance, you might as well. I got an amazing score for it as well. I was like 165,000. Like, it loved me for that.
But it still said no bodies found. So
yeah, either that's bugged, or maybe it doesn't count the target. But that seems like a big one to miss.
Yeah.
But actually, it ties in a bit to my experience with Marrakesh so far, because I just played it this afternoon. It came out at 1:00 today. And I've just done one run of it, and it was my first try, and I technically completed the mission. It's really weird, because I spent about 40 minutes on it, and with a bunch of saving and loading, and did it in a way that was very satisfying for me, and was very pleased with my performance. And I was just following my own little rules, and it turns out the game does not recognize any of those rules as being in any way merit-worthy. Because the way that ratings that I did ratings for Gunpoint were living witnesses is what it cares about. There's noise, living witnesses, and speed, and one other maybe. And so if someone sees you but they die, violence is the other one. So if someone sees you but they die, that's no living witnesses, but it's some violence. If you want to avoid violence and living witnesses, you've got to properly ghost it. And I was just doing like the no living witnesses approach to Hitman, and I do remember that it doesn't track that in any way. Like, it doesn't care. If you walk into a room and shoot someone in the head immediately and no one sees it except the person you shot, that in Hitman's eyes is radically different to walking in and shooting a guy in the back of the head. Like, the fact that he didn't see you before he died is crucial for Hitman. That will, like, change your whole rating and change everything. To me, that seems pretty fucking similar. Like, whether or not I'm recognised in future missions does not really depend on whether the people I killed saw me before I killed them.
No.
Well, maybe, unless, like, because, you know, in one of the things that you find quite a bit in murder mysteries or whatever is that the person has managed to, like, write in their own blood, you know, like,
All right, I'll happily clean up the blood graffiti.
I was shot in the head by a bald man with a
Maybe it's all set in the time of...
waiter.
like someone who does waiting, you know, waiters.
And the huge, really lengthy blood scroll.
P.S. Waiter's gonna wait.
Yeah. I guess he wasn't a waiter.
More like assassin's gonna assassinate. Maybe it's all set in the time of Fringe, when they can interrogate recently dead people. If they just said that, I'd be totally okay with this one. Anyway, actually, I didn't really care about rating. In fact, if that was kind of what I was going to say, is that after the elusive target, I decided in future elusive targets, I'm not going to worry about my rating. I'm going to worry about whether I liked the style I did it in, whether I thought it was cool. And so that's kind of the approach I took with Marrakesh, where really early on I just got a hint. Oh yeah, so here's a weird thing about Marrakesh. First of all, it's a really huge and really gorgeous level, and just massive crowded markets and multiple like complex buildings with surrounding grounds and stuff in different areas of the city, and just absolutely massive. And loads of kind of depth to it. But everyone is American. And they're the same American actors as in Sapienza in Paris. And so, you know, like right at the start of Sapienza, there's that woman yelling to her brother about his first day as a chef in the mansion. She's also the first person who's talking to someone on the street in Marrakesh saying, "Oh, how's your father?" And then the guy tells her about the novel his father is writing, and then
That's not what "how's your father" means.
I know it's strange because she does phrase it that way, but he doesn't interpret it that way at all, and just tells her about the novel that his school teacher father is writing.
That booty call's gone terribly.
She seems really interested in the father.
How's your father? He's writing a novel, actually.
She seems super interested in his father, and even defends his father to him. But anyway, that like.
The Bioware characters just wandered into the game.
Yeah.
Dilemma to solve.
They are like hammy as hell, in the sense that like it's just like she says. So this is literally that happens in front of you as you start the mission, so it's not a spoiler. But he says, she says something about like, does he still miss the school or something? And then he says, yes, well, he was headmaster of it for 30 years, and he still carries the skeleton key on it. You know, the one that opens all the doors. Okay. So I went upstairs and I listened to the whole conversation, which was stupid because it meant that as soon as he finished, he walked back inside, and I was inside. I'd already broken into his house, and so I had to hastily sneak up the stairs. But it's okay because he only saw me for a few seconds, and therefore wasn't entirely suspicious. Yeah. It's alright, there was a guy sneaking around here, but he went upstairs, so it's fine. Where my undefended father is.
Well, we've already established that it was the woman that was bothered about the father, so I mean, you know, he could care less.
So I was trying to like avoid living witnesses, and the father was just in a place, just sitting on a couch, and the key that they'd been talking about was on the desk in front of him, and there was no easy way to like take it without him seeing me, and I could non-lethally take him out because he's sitting down like with his back to, I don't know, something. I couldn't non-lethally take him out without him seeing me. So then I thought, well, if you're going to see me, I want him to be dead. So I shot him in the head and then took his key. And then I'm like, I don't even know why I need this key. I don't know why, if I'm going to a school, but apparently this opens all the doors in the school. So if I ever do, that'd be great. And then I also just took his clothes for good measure. So just dressed as the headmaster, like the retired headmaster of a school. I'm like, I'm not sure what kind of access this is going to get me. I'm not optimistic.
Also, like, yeah, surely people would remember what he looked like. Like, oh,
yeah, it's like anyone who knows that the headmaster wears this also knows that I'm not the headmaster.
Also that you're retired.
Yeah.
Can you, like, so in Hitman, obviously there's the rule that essentially if you're wearing the outfit of the thing, you are the thing. But, like, is there anything else that you can do around that? Like, can you convince somebody that they're dreaming? Like, if you do, no, but like, shut up.
The oddball DLC for Hitman.
But, so if, for example, the headmaster dude had been napping on the sofa, could you have convinced him that it was a dream, that you weren't really in the apartment or
You'll
something?
be unsurprised to hear, no.
The Darren Brown DLC will let you do exactly that way.
I described myself as a masseuse who was like in the building and who everyone had seen, and they all knew by name. And he's got like a lot of blonde hair. And then and his name is, Cassie or something. And then everyone who sees me is like, "Oh, hey, Cassie, you shaved your head." How are you buying this? You literally know this person.
Wow, this is a strangly massage.
That's how name badges work, though. Like, just you become that person.
So I did use them. I did go to give the victim a massage, basically. And annoying, I didn't get the achievement because you kill him. You can give him a massage, and then like during the massage, while he's lying there's no option to like just take him out with the normal takedowns. But you can give him a massage, and then when you start giving a massage, that's when you get the option to snap his neck. I
So
thought,
an
actually,
unhappy ending.
yeah, that's the name of the achievement.
I was about to guess that would be the name of the achievement.
Yay!
Happy ending is when you give him a little afterwards.
It was an unhappy ending for me, Tom Francis, because I didn't get that achievement because I stopped the massage to throw a screwdriver into his head. Which I feel like it counts. I was giving him a massage when I stopped to throw a screwdriver in his head. Definitely an unhappy ending to his massage. Technically, I wasn't massaging him at the moment that he died, but close enough, I would have thought.
My lord.
So,
It's the
one
same as
consequence
true
of
happy ending
this,
as well.
because I wasn't being super perfectionist and I didn't really care. Like, a bunch of times someone saw me to the point they got an X down above their head and wanted to talk to me, and I ran away and didn't let them. And that
What's the
means...
story with screwdriver head? Puncture.
I think they did find him, actually. But it meant that there was just like, I think the general like level-wide alert level was suspicious. And it's really fuzzy as to like what that really means. Because obviously the people who've seen you want to chase you. Yeah. And then later on I came back to the same area and they didn't want to chase me, in the same disguise. And, so it's really like, ambiguous as to what's going on. And because I usually try and play really cleanly, I reload until I do, basically. I haven't really spent a lot of time in Hitman when after I fucked up. If I fuck up, I just reload. And I didn't fuck up in any serious way, but a bunch of people were variously suspicious of me. Like a guard downstairs had seen me in an area that I wasn't supposed to go into and tried to pursue me, and I just walked around the corners until he couldn't find me anymore. And then I went upstairs. I was trying to get past this guy who frisks you, like I was dressed as a masseuse, and that means, okay, you're allowed to take a screwdriver, a wrench, a hammer, not a kitchen knife, and not a cleaver, and obviously none of your guns. But that distinction was really, I just had to save and load repeatedly to, like, each time, because you can get frisks and they'll check you for weapons and take off any that, it used to be in the old Hitman games, they'd just take the things that were suspicious.
Yeah.
Now, if they find something suspicious, they just attack you. So you've got to know in advance what's suspicious. It's not enough to just go up there and allow yourself to be.
Which of these things don't you like?
Yeah, I wanted to just ask him, like, what is it? Is a cleaver too much? Because at first I thought that, maybe he doesn't like, because I can hold a kitchen knife as an associate and just walk around with it, like right up to him, walk right up to him with the kitchen knife, and no one finds it weird. It's not counted as visibly armed, and so I thought it was only things that are visibly armed, like guns, which would make a lot of sense. And then I found out kitchen knives are no good, so I tried it again. And then I found out that, so I thought, okay, maybe it's lethal weapons, even if they're not suspicious weapons. And that's not true, because you can take a screwdriver, but you can't take a kitchen knife. Anyway, that's why I threw a screwdriver in his head. But that guy, he frisked you, and then once I finally got through that, I walked up, and there's targets on the balcony. I'm looking out for the little, like, dots that tell you someone knows who you are. And there are none of those. And I'm just standing on the balcony, and it suddenly says, crime noticed, and everyone's arresting me. And I have no idea why. And then I tried it again, and I went upstairs, and then suddenly there's a message on the tannoy saying, could the masseuse report to reception? And I was like, oh, okay, I'll do that, because I'll play the role. And I just got past the guy who's frisking me, and when I walked back past him the other way, he suddenly flipped out and was like, what are you doing? And like started attacking me. So, because I've never had stuff like that before, I think it's because there's a general level of suspicion, or because I've once you've been compromised in any way, I think that like AI changes to a different state, and that state I find to be really erratic and dodgy and doesn't make a lot of sense. But it was really fun just to kind of, after I killed the guy, I couldn't find, there's nowhere in the massage room to hide his body that I could see. And after I killed him, I realized both doors are open. And no one saw me do it, but they saw the body right away. Oh. And then I just kind of had to run out very quickly. And obviously I was thinking like, it isn't going to look good for the masseuse. Like, this is not, this is a suspicious death if you know where the masseuse is. So I was looping back around.
Like, tell the difference between a body and a person? Like, could you not have carried on massaging
if
him?
I'd done the snap neck thing, I wonder if it's kind of scripted so that they don't notice that, because there is another case in Sapienza where if you are on a mortician's table, they see you as a body rather than a person. As far as I know, there's no way to do that to a live person, is there? Is there? Does any other live person lie on the mortician's table at any time? I guess not.
And this might be touching the fringes of, like, Pip-style stealth game fantasy. But, but like, it'd be really cool if you could go back to the masseuse who you presumably got unconscious in a cupboard somewhere. Put his clothes back on him.
Unconscious, yes, that's how he did.
Frame him.
There's no screwdriver in his head.
Pull him up, put his clothes back on him, like, and then wearing your own clothes, like, shake him awake and go, "Where have you been? Everyone's looking for you. What have you done?" And then, like, throw him in front of the guards and be like, "I found him, and his hair's grown back." And like,
yeah, that one's a tough sell.
Because that'd be, I mean, that's the thing, I suppose that's the thing the current simulation doesn't extend to. Like, they'll go like, "It was a waiter that done it." But not start, arresting the waiters.
One thing in Hitman 2, it was dodgy, but in theory, in the opera mission, you can switch someone's prop pistol for a real pistol, and then it's not so much framing them as actually making them do it. But, a person kills the target on stage, in front of everyone with a real pistol, and you get away with it. But yeah, after they did that, I always wanted them to move on from, like, not just accidents, but actually framing people. Just leaving all the evidence that points to one person.
Yeah. That'd be super cool. Because it feels like, like, there should be that moment where it's like, "There was a waiter!" And then someone, like, shoots a waiter, and then all waiters rebel. And then it's like
There's a waiter uprising.
Waiters versus guards. Like, they're
slogan,
coming out of the goddamn walls!
Their slogan is, "Waiters will be waiters."
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, while I was dressed as a masseuse, like, 7 people said, "Oh, hi, masseuse, massage guy, hi there." Gonna massage some people?
Wow. Hitman.
But yeah, so on my way out, because I'd kind of bungled it a little bit, but no one knew exactly who I was, I changed back into a guard uniform, and then I pulled a fire alarm to kind of generally distract people, and then just watched for all the 3 people who know all the guards, and then slipped by when they weren't looking. And that, once I was out, and I changed back into my school teacher's uniform, just in case it was useful. I didn't know. It might be useful. It felt really cool just walking away from that, and just like that whole building, that whole area of the map is just kind of like done now. I've killed the target, got away relatively clean. I caused loads of confusion, and until that point, I'd always kind of thought like Hitman was really about doing it cleanly, and if you don't do it cleanly, there's almost no point in the game carrying on. It might as well just force you to restart, because it becomes such a horrible mess, and the combat's not really fun. But that was the one time where like it did get out of hand a little bit, and then I just caused confusion and messed around and then slipped away, and it felt kind of cool walking away from that and realizing like everyone's still panicking, trying to figure out what the hell just happened.
See, that's just my default. That's a good mission for me. Like, Chris, when you mentioned, that's the Pip way of doing things. It's like, no. The Pip way of doing things in any stealth game is to have everyone on medium to high alert at all times because you've done something so stupidly obvious, and just sort of, you're sort of crawling your way through ducts just to, like, try and get their alert level down from "we will fuck you up on sight" to, sort of moderate.
Everyone ends up dead.
Yeah. It's the golden cat all over again.
Pip, tell us about the Pip way of playing Cities Skylines.
Well, so, so I installed Cities Skylines a long time ago and just messed around with a bunch of colour mods because I wasn't very good at building cities. And then today, having seen that person who'd made a kind of a recreation of most of Seattle in the game, I went back to the mods bit of the Steam Workshop to sort of see whether that was there and whether I could, like, basically have a little tour of the Space Needle. But it wasn't on there. But then I started browsing, and then I found a clown collection of clown buildings and clown-themed things and then insta-subscribed to the whole thing. And they weren't, like, delicately crafted fairground things. It was like someone had taken the basic building mods for all of those things, like the basic models, and then just jammed clown heads everywhere that you can think of. So there's like, just regular houses, just with the roof is just festooned with the heads of clowns just all looking at you. And so that's like the most basic thing. They just like crop up in the residential zones, like every, I don't know, 10th house is a clown house. But there's other structures that are in amongst the ones that you can build as the game gradually gets bigger and your town gets bigger and you can add different services. And so, I think the first one that I put in was the, clown primary school, where the clowns first learn about the clowning. Which, because of, the Simpsons episode with, Sideshow Bob's, brother. And it's just like, 4 years at clown college. And he's like, oh, thank you not to refer to Princeton that way. So clown primary school is called Princeton in my town.
Clown town.
There's and the building that I'm sort of the most intrigued by is the clown cemetery, but no one will move in. And by move in, I mean die. And I'm just waiting. Like, I've got it open on the screen a lot of the time, and it's like 0 out of 4,000 inhabitants. And I'm like...
So what does the clown cemetery look like?
Well, it's kind of an empty field, but there's clown heads all along the walls of the cemetery. But I was watching it so intently, and then a person arrived to visit the cemetery, and I didn't know whether that was how they die in the game. Like,
walk to the cemetery. Well, best makes it convenient.
I've honestly just started playing this seriously because Chris and I tried to play it together once, and he got so baffled and confused by my way of laying out a city that he just sort of refused.
We have different approaches to that sort of thing.
Shut up. And so, so I watched this person in a green jumper going into the clown cemetery, and then he sort of walks up to the middle bit, which is kind of like a weird clown bandstand with like clown heads coming all out of the sides. And then the person disappeared, but there's no bodies in the graveyard. And so I think the clown cemetery ate someone, but I'm not really sure. And it's right next door to a landfill, so I don't really know whether I'm sending out like mixed signals.
Tell us about Clown Park.
Clown Park is opposite Clown Cemetery. And...
Naturally, you want it as close as possible to the corpses.
But like... It's sort of just a concrete oblong. So it's just grey. And then, like, there were weird, like, dark grey smears on it because I'd basically built it upside down by accident. So then
What? How do you build it upside down?
Well, in terms
Why is that
of,
an option?
Like, in terms of how you look at things, I'd sort of built it on the wrong side of the street so it was upside down. Because when I rotated the map to sort of get a closer look at the park, I suddenly realised that the grey pathing actually spells out honk.
Holy shit.
So that's great. And then I'm just trying to think.
I thought you meant like trees
school.
growing downwards into the ground. And that kind of upside down. That's why it's a grey slab, because it's just like the foundation of the park.
So I've added in a bouncy castle, just because I thought that was, it felt like it went with the basic theme of the thing. And then there was a fire at the garment factory, which was sort of in the clown district.
Pivotal clown district.
I've renamed
Some reason
it
we're expecting
Clown
Batman to show up at some
District,
point.
And so I didn't know whether that was because the clowns are using too much nylon, like, or like polyester for their little
So a lot of static
outfits
electricity
and
involved in
things.
clowning. I think.
Yeah, but then, like, added into all of this is the fact that I'm still, like, finding the system slightly unintuitive. So I don't really understand how, like, I didn't understand really how electrical power worked. It just seems to be like it has an aura. and the buildings seem to just suck it in from like if something nearby is generating electricity.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think they have like a distance at which things can be
but like
powered.
the water seems a bit more straightforward. Like I can understand the water, but then Chris came through and looked at how I'd actually laid out my city, and he was just like, what is this mess of things and streets and did you think it?
Yes.
Right. And you said it with every fibre of your being.
Well, logic complaint with the clown mayor.
Exactly. I don't know why I moved to Clown Town. I don't know what I was expecting.
I'm not
Number
really
5
sure.
Clown Avenue. The day we elected the clown, like you perfectly ordinary politicians, and we elected the clown for a joke, and now this.
There's also there's a clown.
Give
like,
America 9 months time.
There's a clown shrine that I haven't unlocked yet. And there's a clown secondary school that I can't afford yet. But the breakthrough this afternoon was realising that I could make the wind turbines generate more electricity by sculpting, by sculpting the ground into this weird, like, nipple of earth.
A hill.
Like, no, it's like, it's so, like, pointedly weird. It's not a hill. That is not a hill. But if you raise...
Tussock at best.
It's just like a weird, like, hump. Like a finger sort of sticking out of... It's a nipple. The ground has a nipple. But if you build this nipple and then you put an air pylon
Wind
stick
turbine.
windmill thing, yes, on top of it,
Require additional air pylons.
then it generates, like, maybe up to, like, twice as much electricity
Nice.
as you had before. So I just have, like, these weird, like,
Good job, Clown
nipple
Mayor.
pumps and in the middle of Clown Town at the moment. And it's all gone a bit weird, and I'm just waiting for the first clown death. And
Are the people clowns?
Just waiting for my clowns to die.
they don't seem to be in full clown costume.
That seems like a mayoral edict waiting to happen.
Well, yeah, like I'm sort of, I'm about to investigate further the realms of custom assets and things, I think. But yeah, so far it's all been a bit confusing.
Is all of this just like a reskin for the game's basic stuff, or are they doing anything different?
So this specific stuff just seems to be a reskin. Like the stuff that I was playing with before is the color mods, but that's more about adding kind of an Instagram style filter almost to the game, and so you can sort of make it look a bit like sort of more of an arid sort of desert town in the US rather than like a European sort of relatively lush kind of environment, and that was really interesting. I liked fiddling around with that stuff before, but I hadn't really ever got as far as building a functional town because I didn't really know how, and certain people would always criticize where I'd put my streets. And all kinds of other things, which was really annoying. And now the game keeps telling me to like build a key, and I'm like, I don't want one. I've built really far inland.
Like a QUAY.
Yeah, like you're supposed to just do
Not like
the
a key to the city.
landscaping so that you have like a scenic waterfront area, and it's like, but my people are like 2 kilometers inland, and you know. Obsessed with clowning, like
It's a clown town, but we're not crazy.
A key in land? Get out!
I could build a canal, which I guess has a lot of the same letters as clown.
Clown owl.
But yeah, so I don't really know where this is heading, but it was a slightly unexpected detour for the afternoon, to be honest. I was initially just planning on going back to Subnautica. But yeah.
What have you been playing, Tom?
I've been playing WWE 2K16.
Oh, yeah.
I hear Bill Goldman is in that now.
Oh,
Or imminent.
Goldberg is going to be in the next one.
Goldberg,
who hasn't
Okay.
wrestled for like a decade, so I don't know why he's in it. Anyway,
I don't even know the name. I've been so far away from wrestling for so long.
I've kind of gotten back into it in the last 6 months, and I think it's because wrestling is so much like video games. It's so stupid that it's really quite enjoyable. But it's 2K16 is a really interesting game because wrestling is a really, really interesting thing to make a game about. So you're making a game about people pretending to be in conflict. And what kind of system do you build? Do you build a game where you're kind of manufacturing the match to make it as dramatic as possible to sell it to the crowd, which is the actual thing the wrestlers are doing? Or do you make a game where you pretend it's a fight and people have health bars and they're actually attacking each other and damaging each other until one of them can't suffer a 3 count? And 2K16's approach is to do both at the same time in an insane mishmash of systems that like don't make any sense. It's where you can win, but you're also incentivized to kind of show off and make the match more dramatic for the fans as you do so. And so for example, if the enemy pins you, you can kick out straight away if you pass the quick time event. But it's better for you if you kick out at the very last second because it's more dramatic and you get a better match rating at the end. You'll get promoted faster. It's stupid. It's really silly. It's a shame because wrestling would fit so well into a game. Imagine a game where you're actually allowed to do promos and deliver promos and build a character and kind of actually kind of signpost all of the dramatic big kind of story.
You sort of want like a soap opera kind of generator almost, because that's what I remember from it was all of my era was like the Vince McMahon kind of stuff. I don't even know if he's still in it.
Oh yeah, he's not dead yet. No, he refuses to die. And his kids are both basically
like the clowns.
Wasn't Stephanie McMahon and maybe one of the Hardy Boys, or no? Didn't she marry Chris Jericho or someone?
Triple H, right? There's a whole people who aren't interesting. It is it's a whole thing. It's a multi-generational soap opera that has unfolded over a period of decades.
So I think Freddie Prinze Jr. is like an executive producer or a writer on WWE, but also he shows up as like an extra at one point. I think he plays like some dude in Vince McMahon's Fever Dream at one point. That's in his IMDb. I'm so almost entirely certain I'm not making that up.
That is amazing.
Or was he caught by Vince McMahon killing someone and just tried to convince him it was a dream?
And Freddie Prinze Jr. is in both Mass Effect and Dragon Age, giving the groundwork for the BioWare wrestling game that you want.
Oh my goodness,
Yes,
that'd be
amazing.
so good.
Like the Paragon and Renegade interrupts are both hit somebody.
Yeah.
Because I was imagining more of a kind of the movies kind of thing, but your way is better.
Yeah, it'd be good if you. I've seen people talk about like a Telltale style thing where you're doing kind of multiple choices, like how are you going to insult this
John
guy?
Cena will remember that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you could kind of manufacture a heel turn and kind of become a bad guy, or just do it that way. Instead, 2K16 is completely devoid of all of that personality, and they have these kind of weird potato-faced vague likenesses of the superstars that you know, and the engine looks like it's about 5 years out of date. And there's kind of no lighting. It's like really flat lighting. And the wrestling is, they've got like a really impressive array of animations that some poor mocap people have been slammed, repeatedly to capture. But the way you execute it is it's all about reversals, and reversals in wrestling are a surprise. It's like, oh, that thing I thought was going to happen is now different. But if you're if you're initiating the reversals, it's not a surprise to anyone. So it's not a dramatic device anymore. It's just a really irritating quick time event that you have to do every now and then. And it's come from such a strange place where they want it to be hard to beat John Cena. Like John Cena's the final boss fight of WWE, for example. And it's difficult for you to beat him, even though that's not what wrestling is at all. It's like, what's actually the best thing for wrestling is the most dramatic thing that could happen, and the most surprising thing often. And it's not about creating surprises or creating stories or being part of stories. And it lacks the just absurd, amazing kind of standout personalities that drive wrestling and make it big, silly fun. And I think that wrestling, for such a big business, deserves a better video game. Especially when 2K are making stuff like their basketball games, which are really, really high quality. Well, perhaps not like great. Apparently they're really good basketball games. I know nothing about basketball, but the single player campaign, I think for the last one, was directed by Spike Lee. Spike Lee, yeah. Really strange. It's a Spike Lee joint.
I just had a revelation. The reason the 2K sports games are always called 2K16 is not just the year. It's also the publisher.
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go. Many more surprises await.
See, I just feel really old because, like, I keep watching like the names of people that I half remember, but like my main era of like the wrestling stuff was back when it was WWF and it was like The Undertaker and Hulk Hogan and
Ultimate Warrior,
Hitman Hart and stuff like that. So, but like, do they ever do anything a bit more adventurous?
Can you convince John Cena that it's a dream?
Or like, but does, you know, because you know how in regular wrestling when it's on TV or when there's an event or whatever, like sometimes some random like villain will turn up and then like be part of the match, or like they'll take over, or you know, like suddenly it will become like a tag team thing, or you know, is there anything unexpected on that?
The old games used to do that. So No Mercy and SmackDown 2 and stuff would have little kind of nods to that. In this, you can press A to invade, when your kind of mortal enemy is walking down the ramp. It's like, press A to invade the ramp. And again, it doesn't work. It's like the reversals thing, because, when that stuff happens, it's supposed to be a surprise as you're watching it. It's not, if you initiate it, it's just there's no drama to it at all. You just press it and then you have a really stilted fight on the ramp where there aren't any ropes, so you can't do any moves.
It would be kind of interesting if the game penalised you if you did it at an inopportune moment.
Yeah.
You know?
No one had realised who it was.
Yeah.
Just
You can attack your opponent at any time, and like you have this kind of 24-hour cam where they're doing the dishes at home, and it's like, press A to strike now, yes, through the window. It's like, no, you don't get any points for that. You idiot.
No one's watching.
No crowd.
So you drag John Cena out through his kitchen window into the bushes.
That's what I wanted to say, really, is that there's so much money in it that it feels like they should put a bit more money behind the game.
But is this because they're still sort of maintaining that, like, denial of fiction thing? Like, as in the line, as far as I remember, has always been, no, this is entirely like
it's
real,
completely
and
real.
this is exactly what's happening, and the person who tried the hardest will win the thing. So yeah.
No, they've moved away from that. In fact,
Vince McMahon definitely was dead for a while, or whatever
Then he came back.
storyline was.
That's real. There's a tag team called The New Day who are very kind of meta and self-aware, and one of them is Xavier Woods, who's a big gamer, and he was sitting in on commentary. He walks down to the ramp with a trombone, which he plays while his mates are wrestling. And when his tag team won, he played the fanfare from Final Fantasy, the victory fanfare, on the trombone. Yeah, that's the one. And like half the crowd got it. They were like, "Hey!"
Did he do the after music where they get like materia?
No, sadly not. I think that's the extent of his repertoire on the trombone. But he's actually on his second trombone now, because he names them, and one of them was killed in a match. So,
See, this stuff needs to be
so
in the
good.
game.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that makes it so much fun to watch, because everyone's in on this big kind of joke, and it's so much fun.
Yeah.
And Xavier Woods is sitting in commentary, and he's saying, "Oh, Roman Reigns having a bit of a lie down. He's run out of his stamina bar's expired." And actually started like talking about it in terms of game mechanics, which I bet he got some stern words from the management after doing that. But it's exactly what it's like. It's like a big silly soap opera video game.
Yeah.
But the video game isn't like that. The video game is just really kind of a tedious, chonky mess.
Oh.
It should maybe move more like the campaign that they'll be doing for the most recent Mortal Kombat games, where it's just this sort of meandering journey that you go on with lots of different characters. So rather than being about your career, it's just like you go play through the John Cena chapter for
various
a bit.
feuds.
Yeah,
you feud
exactly.
with everyone in the WWE.
So who is Bill Goldberg then? Why did I get this email about his joining of the...
He was. I didn't watch it when he was a big deal, but apparently he won like 180 matches in a row, which, when you know, is in kayfabe terms, is amazing. Oh my god, he's invincible, but it's otherwise not impressive if you know that he was booked to win 180 matches because they liked him and he made them loads of money. But he's.
To be fair, they could have just said that. Like, you know, it's just like, yeah, definitely.
He was a big deal, and people have been talking about him coming back to wrestling for ages.
Okay.
So he has, in a way, but the way that involves the least possible amount of effort by being photographed to go on the front of a video game.
In Sapienza, you can convince a man he's being haunted by his dead mother's ghost.
Really?
You can't dress up as his dead mother's ghost.
You can do that, yeah, that's true.
Huh.
And then you can invade him on the ramp. By which I mean murder him in his bathroom.
God, imagine if there was like a Hitman WWE crossover and you actually had to like assassinate someone's trombone.
No, hang on. You should actually, I was just thinking that like, it should totally be like Dark Souls invade someone on the ramp. Like, it should be like WWE Dark Souls. So it's like, like Dark Spirit, John Cena appeared.
Yeah.
And then
he bows.
Yeah, exactly. Praises the sun, does a yoga pose. Does loads of forward rolls.
Shall we do questions from questions?
Yes, I believe so.
Good.
This is an increasingly contrived bit.
Make it so.
Maybe we should have a sound
Emperor
effect
Picard.
of like a question bag being opened.
That would require a level of editing that we don't tend to.
I could just rustle some paper.
There's a bag over there.
Yeah,
Okay, hang on. Those are bills.
Shall we pay some bills?
Good.
They wouldn't have known if you hadn't said.
Bills from Bills. And on with the show.
And now on with the show, where I read the questions off of screen.
Shut
up. First up, Kane, he of Discord fame, writes to let us know that the save file for the amazing Crate and Crowbar Dwarf Fortress Kingdom that we described on a previous episode of the podcast is now available. And rather than try and read out a URL like a stupid
http://
we will just put it in the show notes with attached details, and there's some instructions for getting up and running depending on what type of dwarf you're fortressing or whatever it is that you do in that game.
We talk about the project on the episode called The Takes Are Burning. So if you want more information on what this is, go and listen to that.
It was very good.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
And is very good, I imagine. Now you can explore it yourself. And as we decided at the time, bring our kingdom to ruin. Actual questions. Andrew C. writes, "Good evening, gentlemen of the Crowbar. I shall start this email by singing your praises. Your podcast is fucking great." Now on to the question. I didn't cough sarcastically. I just coughed. Have you ever overused a gameplay mechanic in a way that actually marred your experience? Maybe had to add a self-enforced restriction on said mechanic. My example of this would be the summoning system in Dark Souls 3. For the first two major bosses, Vort of the Boreal Valley and the Curse-Rotted Greatwood, then he adds in parentheses, alternatively, if you don't want to spoil the bosses, the hyperactive dog and the testicle tree. I summoned before I had even attempted the boss solo. Due to this, I didn't have the panic-ridden experience of facing a boss for the first time. Instead of frantically running around the area trying to survive long enough to see the boss's initial moveset, I just watched another player breeze through the boss and reaped the reward at the end. I realized I didn't feel accomplished for doing this, so I gave myself restrictions. I'm no longer allowed to summon straight away. Instead, I have to attempt the boss a couple of times, and even then, I'm only allowed to summon if I deem my damage output too low. Battles of attrition against bosses seldom flavor the player. Blah, 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 blah. Sorry.
There's a lot of extra L's happening in that email.
There's a lot going on. Sorry if I rambled. Hope it's a good question. Sorry I didn't start the question with a pun. It's all right. It's all right. I'm sorry. I butchered it. God's Andrew. So yeah, systems, what you have abused and felt bad about.
I didn't feel bad about it, but I had this recently with Sid Meier's Pirates, which I played at the time. So it's a remake, and I never played the very original, which is like extremely old. But the remake itself is like 10 years old now. And it keeps coming up in conversations about heat signature because it's a game where you sort of go between ports and you do have an overall goal, but you also can trade stuff and take on missions and things. So it's like often given as an example of like how to mesh those two structures. And it's like, in theory, it's a game I should really, really like, but you go between ports and then like the challenge of it is ship battles. And once your ships touch, you automatically board them. And the boarding is simplified down to just you duel the enemy captain in a sword fighting game, and there's a battle going on around you, but it doesn't actually matter. And if you win, then the whole thing is won. And there don't seem to be any restrictions on when you can start a boarding action, and there don't seem to be any other factors going to success other than whether you win that sword fight. And it's just seems like if you just press up, like the highest attack and the lowest attack alternatingly, you just always win. And doing that means that like the whole crew is conquered. You get all of their crew, or most of their crew. You take their entire ship and add it to your fleet with all of its guns and all of its cargo. Get a load of money. And like, not only does it undermine the ship battles, which has this whole thing about like trying to tactically steer around and cross the T and hit them with your broadsides and everything, which is kind of fun. But it's actually bad to even do any of that because you're just damaging the ship that you're about to easily acquire by boarding and trivially defeating the enemy captain and taking it for yourself. So, like, it just completely undermines everything just because the sword fighting game is so easy. And I played it for a while and I just can't find anyone that isn't beaten by just up, down, up, down, up, down. And in answer to this question about, like, and have you restricted yourself from using it? No. I just still do it. I can't, like, in a lot of games I do restrict myself from things that I don't think are fun. But this is just sort of so fundamental that it feels, I don't know what to do instead. Like, if I never board, then the game becomes brutal and you never get the enemy ship. If I'd have to make up my own, like, damage threshold for when I'm allowed to board them, and then I don't even know how to see what their hit points are or anything like that. So,
is there a way that you could, like, try and do the sword fighting as the game presumably intended? Like, because I really can't remember the game well enough to remember what that was that you were supposed to be doing, but like
maybe the reason I'm sort of not even I don't even want to do that is just that it's such a trivial game anyway. Like I also don't want the ship battle to reduce down to a sort of medium difficulty sword fighting game. I just don't want the sword fighting game to be in there at all, or like for it to be some other game where I really feel I have to like shred their crew with some terrible form of munitions before I can possibly approach attacking them like that. I did hear, I don't know if this is true, but I was talking to someone the other night about this and bitching about it, and they said that you get older in Pirates, and eventually you're just so old that you can't fight very well.
I don't remember that at all.
Sounds like something someone might have dreamed.
How are you doing with the sexy dancing?
I turned one governor's daughter down, and then I was going to accept another one, but then it didn't actually, like, they mentioned her and introduced me to her, but then I didn't get an option to actually go to a ball with her or anything, so we just parted awkwardly and I sailed away and never saw her again. So a lot like my real love life.
In one of the Assassin's Creed games.
Up, down, up, down.
I can't remember which one. It was like the Black Flag, I think, or Brotherhood. There was a move where you could kick enemies in the balls, and the stagger time was slightly longer by a few frames than the recharge time for the move in which you used to kick them in the balls. So whenever you get one-on-one, you just repeatedly whack your right foot into the gonads, and they stagger back awkwardly until they die.
God.
That's not in the Michael Fassbender movie.
We don't know yet.
Yeah.
Nothing is true. Everything is permitted. But don't do this.
It's permitted, even repeated ball kicks.
So, yeah, I abused that, and frankly, it never stopped being funny. So it wasn't really a negative thing. It probably improved the combat system for me.
I used to actually, I think in that one and Assassin's Creed 2, there was I had really cool like movesets for different weapons. And I remember really missing this in Assassin's Creed 4, where you can only really have different swords. But in like Assassin's Creed 2, I remember like getting a Warhammer, and then the Warhammer moveset was so cool and so different. But then I discovered like if you just don't have a weapon at all, there's a whole different moveset that's about not really doing damage, but stealing your enemy's weapon. And so then that became my personal rule, is like every fight I go into, I just drop my weapon, and then whoever comes at me first, I take theirs and kill them with it, and then go from there. That was really fun.
I always used to favour the double-handed sword.
Oh, yeah.
And my favourite assassination technique in Assassin's Creed 2 was that you could hold it over your head with both hands and throw it absolutely miles. So I'd stand on a rooftop and I'd find my victim and I'd throw this broadsword like 2 stories down, like 100 metres into their head.
The intercontinental ballistic missile of the day.
It was artillery strikes and broadswords. It was great. That game.
Right, walking in on that was back when we lived together.
Yeah.
We were walking to the room. What are you doing? Just like
I feel like
we
that
stood on the roof with a Zweihander, just winding it up.
It's got to be like some kind of battle cry for that moment. Of just like, fuck you! And they look up and see the giant sword swinging.
There's always the really awkward bit where you have to climb off the building and retrieve it.
Actually, can I have that back?
I always did. It's great. Great game. Love Assassin's Creed 2.
Eric writes, Dear Chris, Tom, Pip, Marsh, Graham, Tom and Tom. Hello from Ohio. Here are 2 facts about my state. We are home to more astronauts than any other state. Also, we have a river that caught fire, but only a few times. I'm finding myself not having any fun with Overwatch. I'm having trouble figuring out why, though. All the parts of the games are things I should enjoy, and it's certainly polished and pretty. but here I am, suffering from a strong case of meh. I think a large part of this is down to my not having friends who are playing it, at least on PC. A handful of PC gaming friends I have are playing Dota, always and forever. For this, I blame a guy named Chris Thurston. Now that we've established that Mr. Thurston ruined Overwatch for me, what can be done? Find to play with, and B, randos. Do you have any tips or ideas for making the experience more conducive to fun? I'm afraid of getting on the mic, and don't care about winning or losing, but there's got to be something that can ease the experience of playing with random strangers. It should, in fact, be a great way to play games, or else do you get to share a common goal with people from all over the world for 10 minutes at a time. Games are fucking amazing. I'm going to go try Overwatch again. Thanks to you all for the wonderful podcast, Eric. So I can speak to this a little bit, because I played most of my Overwatch time has been solo, because only recently that I have lots of friends who play it, for obvious reasons. And I think it obviously helps that I'm very competitive and goal-oriented, so I like having something to work towards, and I feel like even if it's just pushing a car to the winning place, that's
Garage.
That's a goal I can get behind. And as it comes to sort of interacting with other people, the thing I always do, like I always use, if you hold down C in Overwatch, you bring up the emote wheel. There's lots of different things on that, including the hello command, which gives me characters a little wave and says like, hello, whatever. And I always do that at the start of a match, particularly with randoms, because you'll kind of get a sense, because there are a lot of different types of people on the internet. You get people who will just play in silence the entire time, won't communicate, won't change, whatever. You get people who will complain and rage and flame. And you also get people who are in the same sort of situation that you're in, and that's more common than not. And often if you just sort of run up to people in the spawn room going like, hello, with the little emote, then you'll get at least a couple of people that say like, hello, back. And then if you're looking for anyone to kind of like stick with, then those are probably the people to stick around. And like, you can establish like, you should never expect these little mini buddy partnerships to last longer than the round you're in. But it can be quite fun, like, you know, establishing a little kind of, a little rapport with somebody, even if it only lasts 10 minutes. And that's the reward, I guess. It's not, you don't necessarily get a friend request afterwards, but, you know, you do the silly emotes at each other and you jump around and whatever. But I think I think the trick is that it takes an active decision to go out and be energetic in people's faces for them to respond to it. It doesn't work if you just sort of wait for it to come to you.
Is that what's keeping you there, though? Because, like, sort of not to undermine what you've just said, but you have also sort of had times when you've walked away from a solo session and been really cheesed off.
Sure, like, I mean, it pissed me off today. Like, I don't always want to play support, but I always feel like I have to play support if I want to win. But as this guy says, he doesn't, if his problem is feeling lack of attachment, but he doesn't mind winning or losing. But
what I'm saying is it more that you've got a group of real life friends that are sometimes on voice comms and are playing a lot of Overwatch at the moment that balances out the solo time?
No, because I enjoy solo time as well. Because you have positive experiences. Often I find that I have bad solo time when I am not putting the effort in to reach out and interact with other people for whatever reason. Maybe I just can't be asked or something. But I'm also conscious that if I was making a more proactive effort, then maybe it would be better. And, you know...
I'm finding that I don't know the game well enough to kind of be a help. I do know, like, roughly, I know which categories the classes come under, but just in, like, moment to moment when I see a person of this class and I'm this class, I don't have the sort of inbuilt knowledge of what to do about it. Whereas in TF2, like, I know all the relationships between every combination of the 9 classes, both friendly and hostile. And so what I've been doing is, I had a string of really bad online matches. I haven't won a match in like 7 matches. Just whatever team I'm on loses. And I'm getting very few kills and I usually don't understand why I died. And so I've actually taken to, you can play against AI with other people, but I find even that slightly too anxiety inducing because then I still, if I want to try a particular class, I don't understand it yet. Sometimes that's not the right class the team needs. And so I feel bad for choosing it. And maybe I'll choose one that I actually already know quite well and it's not very useful to me. But then I found out the custom games, you can add AI to them and you can make it so that you're the only human player in it at all and just do a pure bot match. And it's actually like a really good system. You can specify all kinds of stuff. If you just want to know, like, how does this class fare against that class, you can force the bot to play as that, just play one-on-one, you versus that bot. And you can even like make whole team rosters of like, I'm going to force the bots to play as this, and this, and this, and then see how that fares about this, and this, and this. But so far I've just been playing it just to like let the bots do whatever they want and then I play whatever class I want to learn about and then do that. And I'm probably just going to stick to that until I really understand how the game works because it's too frustrating just to die to strangers and not understand why.
That's fair enough. I wrote a really long guide to how characters interact with one another. When I say really long, I also mean engaging.
The other thing that you might be interested in is the novelty weekly rotation mode.
Yeah,
Like,
I tried one of those, and so I joined it and thought, I'll see what the wacky challenge is, because I remember your story about the Genji and Hanzo thing. And then when it started, I couldn't see what was different, and because I don't know the game very well, I didn't spot the clues. And I played for a while, and because it was just looked exactly the same, I just forgot that I was even playing a special challenge mode. And separately, without twigging, I thought several times, God, it's amazing how quickly the ultimate's charging this game. And then I had a fight with, I was a roadhog and Tracer was attacking me, and we just had this ridiculously long drawn out fight that was just kind of it was kind of cool actually. It was like how you'd do it if you're doing an animated short about these two classes and how they interact, which is I'm the big lumbering, oaf trying to grab her with my chain hook thing. And I keep missing, and she's zapping around, but I'm so tough she can't take me down, and then she keeps zapping around to recharge, and then I'll do too much damage and she has to run away again. And it just went on for ages, and I thought, God, we must both be so bad, because we just can't kill each other at all. And then I found out that the current brawl is that all your ultimates charge 200% faster, and you'll have 200% more health. Oh, okay, that explains all the phenomenon I was experiencing.
But I guess those can help with shaking off the some of that pressure.
Yeah, I mean, actually, that's
the
last good game I had was that.
Yeah, because I think I've got to the point with MOBAs where I don't have that sort of desire to play a 5v5 anymore, because it's too much time. It's so often, and sort of either is a sour thing or something where I feel like I haven't learnt from the experience. It was just a holding pattern. And that's, just where I'm at with them at the moment. But I will play the all random, all mid mode in League, and just sort of keep trying to find new things out about characters, and sort of, having that understanding, but without having the same sort of need for investment and sort of trying to wrangle team members to do what I want other than what they want, which is what they're trying to get me to. It's that kind of, you sort of get to shrug off some of those constraints, which I find can be quite nice. So that might be another way in, I guess.
Yeah, I think it does make for a gratifying solo game, but I do think it just takes more effort. I think you have to put more in to get more out when you're playing by yourself.
I don't really play it solo anymore.
No.
I play it solely with friends. Overwatch, this is.
Yeah, I just play it. That's what I do. Matt writes, he thanks us for answering a question from last week, but I'll skip to his question itself. Where he says, the world is doing another version of the Voyager Golden Record, and with the advances in technology, they want to include an example of each creative medium for aliens to see. The Crate and Crowbar are charged with nominating a game to go on the new Golden Record. What game would you choose that represents the best of games and humanity? Bonus question, what game would you have destroyed so no other intelligent life could ever find it? Thanks for answering in the great podcast, Matt.
I would go for Tetris.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Just because it's, I think it's iconic, and I also think that it's one of those things that, with the stuff that was sent on Voyager, there was this idea that it would somehow transcend boundaries or whatever, and I find that my sense of that is Tetris sort of doesn't need language to explain itself. I mean, obviously it takes as read that you understand what a screen is and all of that kind of stuff, so it might end up as fundamentally useless as anything else that you put on Voyager. But if you sort of take a basic comprehension of what the thing even is, I feel like something like that would at least have a better chance of explaining itself just through watching it and interacting with it.
I would put the Horse Armor DLC for Oblivion without Oblivion itself, just the files.
You could send some merch, t-shirts.
Peggle every day of the week.
I don't know what I'd destroy though. I don't think I'd feel particularly strongly about.
also destroy horse armor. The last copy would be the one on that shot.
This is going to fire the only copy of it into space.
So hang on, is this like a Schrodinger's Voyager or something?
No,
Schrodinger's
there's
game?
just the one copy, and it's on way to the aliens, and it's just the Earth's copies I destroy.
Yeah, I think, Tetris is a good answer because it does need to be something like a piece of music, the sound and light. I think it'd be interesting to find out if it'd be possible to communicate the concept of what a game actually is and why you would engage with it. Because otherwise it's like, man, like this human wall building software is really intense and difficult.
Because I was wondering about like, if you wanted to send like just one game that encompasses a lot of different things you can do in games, then Minecraft is quite a good one because it has massive possibility space and you can build your own contraptions and things, and it's sort of the amount of things you can do with it is really expansive. But it would teach, if we're supposed to be representing what games are, it doesn't teach you anything about game design in the traditional sense because there's no objective really, although there is an end goal now, but it's kind of not. I don't think it's communicated to you. And so it's not really a good representative for what games are, I don't think.
I don't think the alien's going to care about reaching the Ender Dragon. Really.
Like, I also think that maybe, you could chuck something like a Rubik's Cube on there, Like, because I think ultimately it wouldn't matter if the thing that it reached understood what it was, because I think you could just do something. There's pleasure in like actually manipulating the object, and like what you take from that is kind of like, I kind of don't think it matters if there's a rule set that's translated. It's more just, here's an object. Enjoy that, I guess, or at least like be bamboozled by it, and then take the stickers off and rearrange them in the.
It's gonna be like the Voynich manuscript, isn't it, for Aliens, where it's just this indecipherable. What does it mean? What does the cube mean? Is it a map?
That would be hilarious.
How do we unlock it? Why isn't it opening?
Yeah.
I would send
activate the tesseract.
Oh my god! Can you imagine? Like, go to all this trouble, send the Voyager space shuttle out there, and then the aliens are more excited by the packaging. There you go. That's a mum joke.
I'd send the entire Mass Effect series. So you'd be like, we're humans. These are our values. And if you meet us, we want a little kiss.
Or don't dress as a Reaper. Or
exactly.
This is what we don't like if you're approaching.
We don't like honking and lobsters. No. We do like everything else, kissy face.
Why can't we flirt with the aliens?
Yeah. That's probably, Space Invaders probably be reported.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we should destroy that one before it's too late.
Does a Tamagotchi count as a game?
That'd be an interesting one, yeah. We've attached our own young. send the troll Voyager.
Raise it as one of your own.
Do not let him die in his own shit.
I always got the ugly Tamagotchi and it died. Every time.
We wipe out an entire alien civilization by sending them Mario Party. They tear themselves apart from within.
In a weird way, Spore would be quite a good one because it just says, "Here's what happened here." Bunch of cell type shit.
So
then some like
it's a historical document.
It gets discovered by the Dick Planet. Our own people.
I
think we've covered that one off.
Yeah.
Finally, a person on the internet writes, to the Creighton Chronicles of Crobania. An evil wizard has summoned the last enemy character, monster, or boss that you fought and or killed to share a candlelit dinner with you. Who or what would that be? And how do you think the dinner would unfold? Thanks for the consistently entertaining podcast. It's an excellent distraction from humanity's ultimate insignificance on a universal scale.
I think the last person I killed would have been the second target in Marrakesh in Hitman, which was the general. And I think if we had dinner together, first question he'd ask me was like, "Why are you dressed as a school teacher?" Like, school teachers are not allowed on my compound. I get you did kill me, well done, but there was no reason to actually be in disguise.
Do you think he'd ask why you killed him? Like, what was that about?
You know what's weird about that mission actually is they tell you why.
Yeah.
Like they tell you who these people are, which is good, and then they tell you who hired you and why they want them dead. And that,
Right.
I guess, like to tell the story, that's good to have more information. But for me, like, part of the fantasy of being an assassin is you don't know why, right? You don't know who the client
don't
is. You
care.
don't know why they want them dead. And that was always like a bit of a kind of interesting thing. The more you learn about the client, the more you're thinking like, why would someone want to kill this person? I mean, obviously they've done a lot of bad stuff. Are they one of their victims? Are they one of the... And just being told outright was kind of weird. But yeah, it reminds me of like the bit in Father Ted where the priest breaks in to steal his award and I think he knocks out another priest to steal his uniform. And Ted asks, but you're already a priest. Why did you steal? I was just going that way.
Yeah, that's another rad thing that can happen in Hitman. Rather than tell you who the person who hired you is, the person who hired you is actually in the mission somewhere. Like maybe it's close to the target.
Yeah.
Maybe it's their bodyguard who hates them and wants them dead. Like,
I mean, that's kind of, without spoiling anything, like, that happens in Game of Thrones, right? When Arya is sent to kill someone and she has her own theory about who hired
yeah.
her, but she doesn't know.
But like, yeah, and then they had that one chance of like, there's maybe the one NPC that could see you do something and not care. Or like, give you like a wink. You get caught like, trying to smuggle a gun upstairs and the guy's like, let's see where you're going. The last boss I killed in a game was the spider mastermind in Doom. So I think a candlelit dinner, and actually hell is extremely well candlelit, so that's that's quite appropriate. They really get through those things. I think there'd be a lot of screaming. Intermittently between courses, I would have to hide on a blood pedestal as the electric cloud descended from the screaming spider brain.
What do you think it would eat?
BFG, motherfucker.
What? Like the giant?
No,
It's a weapon in Doom.
The BFG 9000 stands for big fucking gun.
Oh, not the giant with the big ears.
Eats big friendly giant bastards.
If you did feed
Oh
the
my
big friendly
God, I hate
giant,
the big friendly
sort of
giant.
spider cyber demon at the end of Doom, that would be a hell of a scene.
Oh god, I always have this thing, and this is bad to say, I always have this thing living with Pip, where I realise an amazing opportunity to troll Pip has passed me by, and I didn't. So like, yeah, so Pip, the main character in Doom is the big friendly giant 9000. He's from the year 9000.
He's trapped in a white
He's not
box.
so friendly
It's green light.
anymore.
Oh, you missed that opportunity.
Yeah, so I'd feed them the big friendly giant.
I'm imagining just like was it Enid Blyton illustrations of the BFG?
Quentin Blake.
Oh, Quentin Blake, sorry, yeah. Like, and it was really kind of long and spindly, and
Yeah,
just that being
really
shoved
big
into
ears.
this spider demon's mouth.
Illustrations by Blenton Quick.
Very good.
Oh. The last thing.
Roll Dark, gonna make you his bitch. BFG 9000. That's Battlefield. Never mind.
The last thing I killed in a game was a fish. So I guess, like, I could either have dinner with the fish, in which case I don't think we could have fish food. Like, yeah.
Fish.
I don't know what we would eat together.
You could have fish food. That's
We have
more or less the
different
only thing the
things.
fish could
Yeah,
have.
but, like, I don't like fish food.
Actually, a lot of fish do eat other fish. That's kind of the default
That's
diet almost.
true. It was a fish that was trying to eat me. So...
Humans, then.
Yeah.
Human flesh.
Oh, maybe, like, because we already had that dinner then, I guess. But, like, I stopped it. I left. But yeah, so that, or I could eat the fish, which, seems like what would have happened because
It's efficient.
I stabbed it.
Oh,
Nice.
I didn't even mean it as like
Nice.
that.
But yeah, because it was in Subnautica, there's these things called biters that,
What do they do?
they're kind of like they're like a pink and white, like, long fish with big teeth,
Yeah, I
and they
think
get
they're
like on your, they nip at you and it takes your health bar down. But I have a diamond encrusted knife that I slash wildly in the air as my graphics card fails to keep up. And when everything has stopped freeze framing, the fish is dead, floating in front of me. So, yeah, and there's like a tiny cloud of blood in the water that's gradually dissipating. So that's good. And that's
And dinner.
the fish. So, yeah, dinner.
I think the last enemy I defeated was the wrestler Chris Jericho, whose catchphrase brilliantly is, "I'm the best in the world at what I do." And I think that dinner would be a fraught affair in which I would get slammed through the table, and then he would stand on my twitching body and scream his catchphrase, "I'm the best in the world at what I do."
But this would be amazing because you could get The Rock to cater, and it would be part of the TV reality show that I keep pitching to people, which is, can you make what you smell that The Rock is cooking? There. You see?
That would definitely pass WWE Creative, without a doubt. They've got a show on the WWE Network called Table for Three, where 3 wrestlers have a nice dinner together. It's a real thing that exists. Go see it. It's brilliant.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Oh.
Great telly.
Should I get back into wrestling? That's what I'm leaving this podcast thinking at this point.
Yes, you should.
It's very expensive though. I have
It's
to
not-
subscribe to channels, do I not?
Well, it's 10 quid a month, and you get the WWE
Can you
Network.
stream it?
Yeah, so that's a streaming service.
Oh, that's fine then. I
there
already
are-
spend like that much on reality TV show streaming. So.
Oh, you should watch Total Divas, which is it's embarrassing that I've watched too much of this stuff, but it's very, very good. I'll give you some recommendations after the podcast.
Thank you, good.
And that are all the questions what we now have time to do.
Indeed, well put.
Thank you. If you would like to send us questions, you can do that by emailing us at questions@crateandcrowbar.com, leaving a question on the forum at crateandcrowbar.slom / forum. If you would like to send us a question on Twitter, you can do so by deleting us at Crate and Crowbar. Where else? Discord is available via a sidebar of some kind on the website and also in the show notes for this very episode. Finally, you can follow us as individuals. I'm at C Thurston, that's CTHURSTENL.
I'm at Pentadact. That's PLENTLADACT.
I'm PCG Ludo, which is PCGLL.
And I'm at Philippa War, which is PHILLL.
No one can tell
L.
whether
L.
how many L's it's supposed to be. That might be true.
I never know how many L's are in your name.
No, neither does my dad sometimes.
Between the L's and the P's, one of them's double and one of them isn't it? I can't remember which way around it
It's
is.
one L, two P's.
It's one L, 2 P's, but also 2 R's, and then there's actually another P, so if you want to be really pedantic, there's 3 P's, and it's all just...
Nice
There's
traitorous
2
consonants.
I's. Yeah, there are. 2 A's. It's just
Never struggled with the
ridiculous.
I's and the A's.
And that's why Pip.
Yeah, but I misspelled
or
that as pup. I
And
sent an email to Graham once, and it was just like, thanks, pup. Oh, for God's sake.
I've seen you misspell it as Pop before as well.
Yeah. That's predictive text for you.
Yeah. Thanks, bye, Pop.
Shall we
Anyway.
do the ending bit?
Yes. Thanks,
Somebody
bye.
else
Listening, blue.